Alright, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design. This is the second video in creating a Shogi tile piece for a game. And what I want to do is unwrap this so that I can map an image of a Shogi Knight tile onto it. So I don't have to model that, the script. Oh, what am I doing here? I want to add the modifier under Modify called Unwrap UVW. Unwrap UVW is the way that we can take this and actually make sure that your UVs aren't distorted. So the first thing we want to do is just look at how much stuff is in Unwrap UVW. There are a lot of things to do, and it can be confusing. I only use a few of these things. The first thing I want us to do is open up UV Editor in Edit UVs, in the Edit UVs rollout. Click it. It's going to open up a window, and I want you to see what's going on. Well, number one, this element, make sure you're on polygon. This polygon is this polygon. This polygon is that polygon. But guess what? This polygon is also that polygon. Every single polygon is actually unwrapped in a way and placed into this square here. They're all overlapping, and we don't want that to happen in this particular unwrapping. The way that we're going to do it. So one thing I'm going to do, okay, that's one thing. The second thing is we can actually see how distorted it is by up in the right corner on the top, click that little drop down menu and re-click Texture Checker UV Checker PNG. I'm so glad they have this. May not be new, but when I was a young boy, they didn't have this. We only had the checker pattern. So this UV checker is actually really cool. We are able to see, like, if it's, I don't know what's better about this other than we can see whether it's forward, backwards, upside down, you know, with all these C3, C4. Okay, so you can see how it's weird and wacky right here. You can also see how it's squished here, squished there, and you can see right here it does, like, it's almost not distorted here, but it's even more distorted there. And that has to do with when we moved these verts downward. So there's a lot of distortion here. Okay. So what we're going to do is free that distortion. And one easy way to do it in Max in the UV editor, Edit UV window, is to select every single tile, or every panel. Now if you select every panel in your viewport instead of your UV editor, watch what happens. You see how I'm going to select everything? It looks like I may have selected everything, but guess what? I'm going to orbit around. Oh, I didn't select those. The reason is this defaults to ignore backfacing. Under selection rollout, there's a select by. Ignore backfacing basically says you want to ignore selecting polygons that are facing the other way. Sometimes that's helpful, but not now, so I'm going to disable that. Ignore backfacing. Now I can select everything. It actually does select everything. Again, it doesn't even matter if you do that in this window, in the viewport, or if you do it in the window here. Just make sure you have everything selected. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Mapping, and I'm going to Unfold Mapping. Unfold mapping, walk to the closest face is fine. I'm going to click OK just to see what happens. I kind of don't. That's a little weird, but do I care? Do I care? I'm going to try it again. I'm going to say Unfold Mapping. I'm going to click Walk farthest face. Is anything? No, I don't like that at all. Okay. I'm going to do normal mapping, and I'm going to box mapping and see if that does anything fun. Not really. I'm going to pause this and see which of the many options will work, okay? I'll be back with you when I find out. Okay, I think I got it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on mapping. It just so happens this is what works. I have everything selected. Like, I want to do this really fast. I'm going to click flatten mapping, and that's going to flatten it. But I'm going to set my polygon angle threshold to 82.2. That means if there's a 90-degree angle, because that's greater than 82.2, it's not going to try to connect any faces that are more greater than 82 degrees away. Normalized cluster just keeps them in the square. Rotating is fine. Filling holes is fine. I don't care. I'm going to say OK, and what you'll see is it did rotate stuff, and it connected this front together, or this back together, this front together. And now what I'm going to do is rotate. I'm going to select this and like, hey, I'm going to rotate this. But I want to rotate it 90 degrees, so I'm going to hit Command Z. Actually turn on rotation angle by 15 just to make it easier. And now when I rotate 90 degrees, I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. And now I'm going to move these down. Now what I'm going to do is select this. I'm going to change all of these options. And in my little tool belt over here, I'm going to uncheck rescale, uncheck rotate, because I don't want to rotate them. Oh, you know what? I will keep rescale on there. And I'm going to click pack normalize. And it's going to pack them all together in the best way possible. Now when I do this, these should all look pretty nice, right? So this looks pretty square. That looks square and legible. All of these look square and legible. The only thing I might do is, no, you know what? I don't really care. I might have considered rotating this piece 90 degrees so that it's like there, and I could actually cut these up. I might consider putting this here. I might consider putting this here and welding these together, and I will do that in a second. Now, the only thing I'm actually concerned about is the fact that I want my life to be easy. So I might select this piece, and it selects the whole thing, by the way, because there's this really helpful button. It's called Select by Element UV Toggle. I call it Select the Whole Thing. So Select the Whole Thing can be turned on or off, and it allows you to either select the whole thing or select a part of the thing. Oops, sorry, that's a hiccup. Okay. So what I want to do, just for fun, is to kind of line these up. And I want to make sure that this, now I'm going to not select the whole thing. This aligns with that. And I see what's going on here. Okay, so I chose the wrong top. So actually, this is the top. And there we go. So I should have selected these. So I'm going to move everything over to this side. Select this. I think I need to place this here and select that. Place it here. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is actually weld all of these together. So first thing I'm going to do is move this up and then zoom all the way in and like, yes, there we go. There's that. And now I'm going to make sure I don't select the whole thing. I turn on vert mode, and now I can click off of it, click on it, and I can select individual vertices. Okay. What I want to do is turn on, actually it's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to select all of these 3 verts. Oh, no, there's actually 6 vertices selected here. Oops, selected the wrong ones. Okay. Well, let me just zoom in and select these 4 right here. Or 2. There's 2 verts here. And I'm going to weld them together by coming up here and saying weld selected subobjects. So I click weld. It should have welded those together. Zoom out. Select these. Click weld. It should have welded those together. But it didn't. Okay. Is that because my threshold is too much? Stop it. Weld. Why aren't you doing that? Okay. Well, then let's turn on... Sorry. What's going on here? Those are the same things, right? I wonder if they're not. I wonder if they are not the same. Let me scroll down here. Okay, I'm going to turn off select normal, select edges. Oh, that's why. It's not the same. That's why they weren't welding. So you obviously can only weld verts together if they're in this window, if they are the same vertex in the 3D model. Okay, so notice I have to select that side is right here, but this side is right there. So this is upside down. It's rotated 180 degrees. So I need to select the whole thing, select that, click the rotate tool, and hover my cursor over the selected objects that I want to rotate it 180 degrees. Now click off of it. Now move it with the move tool up here. Drag it upwards. There we go. Now I can go to don't select the whole thing, turn on vertex mode, select that, click this button, which is weld, and you saw a little thing happen. Now watch what happens when we select these verts and weld it. Okay, this green line right here is going to disappear, but this green line will stay. Weld. See, that turned white. A green line means that is what we call a seam. Okay, and now this seam goes all the way in here and comes all the way out because these two verts are actually not connected. Once they're actually welded together, weld. Okay, now they're welded together. Great. Great job. Okay, now, this vert is that vert, and then this vert is that vert. So what I want to do is select this object. I'm going to rotate it. 15 degrees is fine, I think. And move it. I'm actually going to turn off snaps so that I can just rotate it, you know, kind of like that. And I'm going to probably scale it so that it's roughly the same size. Okay. A little bit bigger. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Scale it, rotate it, move it, roughly the same size. And the next thing I want to do is select, whoops, don't select all, select this edge and move this out. Select this edge, move it out. So that's roughly the same height right here, same length. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom in, select vertex mode, and I'm going to do target weld now, which is this button right here in the explode weld section. And target weld allows me to drag it and drop it, drag it and drop it, drag it and drop it, move up, drag it and drop it. Now, doing this, you can kind of already see that, select that. If I were to cut this out of cardboard and cut this along out here, I could fold this up into one side of this thing. And so that's really helpful. And this would cover the bottom, okay? Now, so the problem is, why can't I just drag this over here? And the reason would be, how do I want that to happen? You know what? It's either or. I could either have this, I could either have this box rotated and welded here, or I could have it welded here. It doesn't matter. Either one is fine. Whoops, Command Z. Now what I want to do is select the entirety, bring this in here. I'm actually going to select all of these. I'm not going to rotate them. I'm not going to scale them. So I'm going to uncheck Rescale, uncheck Rotate under Arrange Elements, and click Pack Normalize. There we go. Now, let's take a look at this. See, the cool thing is, this is perpendicular. The bottom is perpendicular. The only issue is the sides are not, but that's because of the way that they're angled. So I'm not sure we want to make those the grid spacing on that perpendicular. It would just be extremely hard. Okay. All right, now with this done, I'm done.